Right now, three types of people walking among us are fundamentally different from everyone else. They don't feel guilt the way you do. They don't experience empathy like normal humans. And they see other people, including you, as nothing more than tools to be used for their gain. These aren't movie villains or serial killers. They're your coworkers, neighbors, family members, and possibly even people you consider friends. Scientists call them the Dark Triad, three personality types that share one terrifying characteristic. They will destroy your life without feeling a moment of remorse. And here's the most disturbing part. Research shows that 1 in 25 people you encounter has at least one of these personality types, and they're incredibly skilled at hiding it until it's too late. In the next 30 minutes, I will expose the 3 most dangerous personality types in human psychology, show you how to identify them before they can harm you, and reveal the specific tactics each type uses to manipulate and control their victims. But I must warn you, once you understand these personalities, you'll start seeing them everywhere. Welcome back to Shadow Psyche, where we expose the daily dark psychology tactics used against you and teach you how to protect yourself. I'm Brian, and over the past 15 years, I've studied the personality disorders and psychological patterns that allow some people to cause devastating harm while appearing completely normal to everyone around them. Today, we're diving deep into the Dark Triad, the 3 personality types representing human nature's darkest aspects. This isn't just academic psychology, it's survival information that could save you from years of psychological abuse, financial exploitation, or worse. By the end of this video, you'll understand precisely what makes these personalities so dangerous, how to spot them in your daily life, and most importantly, how to protect yourself when encountering them. Here's what makes this different from other content on personality disorders. I'm not just going to describe these types. I will show you the psychological mechanisms that drive their behavior, reveal the specific warning signs most people miss, and give you a complete framework for understanding how they operate in relationships, workplaces, and society. But first, let me be clear. This information is for protection and awareness only. We teach recognition and defense, never exploitation or manipulation of others. Understanding the Dark Triad framework. What makes the Dark Triad? Dark. The Dark Triad isn't just a collection of complex personality types. It represents 3 distinct patterns of thinking and behavior that share one fundamental characteristic: exploiting others without experiencing the guilt, empathy, or remorse that would typically prevent such behavior. These aren't mental illnesses in the traditional sense, but personality patterns that create individuals who are psychologically equipped to cause harm. What makes these personalities particularly dangerous is that they often appear successful, charismatic, and even admirable on the surface. They've learned to mimic normal human emotions and social behaviors while lacking the internal experiences that drive genuine empathy and moral behavior. This creates individuals who can be incredibly convincing while pursuing purely selfish goals. The psychological foundation. All 3 Dark Triad types share core deficits that separate them from healthy personalities. They have impaired empathy, the inability to understand or care about others' emotional experiences truly. They display emotional shallowness, experiencing feelings differently than normal people, with emotions that are often manipulative tools rather than genuine experiences. They show moral flexibility, viewing ethical rules as obstacles to overcome rather than principles to follow. Perhaps most importantly, they all possess what psychologists call instrumental thinking. They see other people as objects to be used, rather than individuals with their rights and needs. This fundamental difference in how they perceive humanity makes them so dangerous and difficult for normal people to understand. Why they're successful. Contrary to popular belief, Dark Triad personalities often succeed significantly in careers, relationships, and social situations. This isn't despite their psychological makeup, it's because of it. Their lack of empathy allows them to make ruthless decisions without emotional interference. Their manipulative skills help them navigate social and professional hierarchies effectively. Their confidence and charisma, even when artificial, attract others who mistake these traits for genuine leadership ability. This success creates a feedback loop that reinforces their behavior and makes them even more dangerous over time. They learn that their manipulative tactics work, encouraging them to refine and expand these skills. Narcissism, the grandiose manipulator. The psychology of narcissistic personality. Narcissism represents the first point of the Dark Triad, characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance, a desperate need for admiration, and a profound lack of empathy for others. But here's what most people don't understand about narcissism. It's not actually about self-love. It's about creating and maintaining a false self-image that requires constant validation from others. The narcissistic mind operates on what psychologists call narcissistic supply. They need continuous admiration, attention, and validation to maintain their psychological equilibrium. When this supply is threatened or withdrawn, they can become incredibly dangerous, engaging in what's known as narcissistic rage, explosive anger directed at anyone who challenges their self-image. How narcissists manipulate. Narcissists are master manipulators who use sophisticated psychological techniques to control their environment and the people in it. Their primary weapon is love bombing, an intense campaign of attention, affection, and apparent devotion designed to create emotional dependency. During this phase, they seem like the perfect partner, friend, or colleague, showering you with praise and making you feel special and chosen. Once they've established this emotional connection, they begin the devaluation phase. They start criticizing, undermining, and emotionally withdrawing, creating confusion and desperation in their victims. This isn't random cruelty. It's a calculated strategy to make you work harder for their approval and become more dependent on their validation. The discard phase comes when they no longer need you or when you become too challenging to control. They may suddenly end relationships, abandon projects, or completely ignore people who were once central to their lives. This isn't emotional, it's purely strategic. Warning signs of narcissistic behavior. Recognizing narcissists requires looking beyond their often charming exterior to identify specific behavioral patterns. They consistently talk about themselves, even when discussing others' problems or achievements. They cannot handle criticism, respond with anger or defensiveness, or turn the situation around on you. Watch for grandiose storytelling. They often exaggerate their achievements, relationships with important people, or their role in significant events. They display entitlement behaviors, expecting special treatment, cutting in lines, or demanding exceptions to rules that apply to everyone else. Perhaps most tellingly, they show empathy deficits in specific situations. While they can mimic empathy when it serves their purposes, they consistently fail to show genuine concern when it doesn't benefit them directly. The narcissistic workplace. In professional environments, narcissists often rise to leadership positions because their confidence and self-promotion are mistaken for competence and vision. They're skilled at taking credit for others' work while deflecting blame for failures. They create toxic work environments where employees compete for their approval and live in fear of their criticism. Narcissistic leaders make decisions based on how those decisions reflect on them personally, rather than what's best for the organization. They surround themselves with people who validate their choices and eliminate those who challenge them, creating echo chambers that lead to poor decision-making and organizational dysfunction. Machiavellianism, the strategic exploiter. The Machiavellian mindset. Machiavellianism, named after the political philosopher Niccolò Machiavelli, represents the most calculating and strategic Dark Triad personalities. While narcissists are driven by ego and psychopaths by impulse, Machiavellians are motivated by a cold, rational pursuit of power and control. They view life as a chess game, where others are pieces to be moved around the board. What makes Machiavellians particularly dangerous is their long-term thinking and strategic patience. They're willing to invest months or years building relationships, gathering information, and positioning themselves for maximum advantage. They don't act impulsively. Every move is calculated to advance their ultimate goals. The Machiavellians Toolkit. Machiavellians are master strategists who use sophisticated manipulation techniques that operate below most people's conscious awareness. They excel at information warfare, gathering, controlling, and strategically releasing information to maintain an advantage over others. They become the hub through which significant information flows, making others dependent on them while keeping their cards close to their chest. They're experts at alliance building, creating mutual obligation and benefit networks that serve their interests. They understand that power comes from relationships, so they invest heavily in building connections with influential people while maintaining multiple backup plans and exit strategies. Triangulation is another favorite tactic. They create conflicts between other people while positioning themselves as the reasonable mediator or the valuable ally. This allows them to weaken potential opponents while strengthening their position. The Machiavellians' long game. Unlike other Dark Triad types who might seek immediate gratification, Machiavellians play the long game. They're willing to appear helpful, supportive, or even subservient if it serves their ultimate strategy. This patience makes them incredibly difficult to detect, because their harmful intentions may not become apparent for months or years. They excel at reputation management, carefully crafting their public image while engaging in manipulative behavior behind the scenes. They understand that perception is often more important than reality, so they invest heavily in appearing trustworthy, competent, and ethical while pursuing purely selfish goals. Recognizing Machiavellian behavior. Identifying Machiavellians requires looking for subtle patterns rather than obvious red flags. They often position themselves as indispensable by becoming the go-to person for important information or connections. They have an unusual interest in other people's personal lives, relationships, and vulnerabilities, not out of genuine care, but to gather potential leverage. Watch for strategic inconsistency. They may hold different opinions or values depending on their audience, constantly adapting their persona to maximize advantage. They show calculated empathy. They can display concern and understanding when it serves their purposes, but this empathy disappears when it's no longer helpful. They often implicitly undermine potential competitors or threats, spreading doubts or concerns in ways that seem helpful or concerning rather than malicious. Psychopathy, the emotionless predator. Understanding the psychopathic mind. Psychopathy represents the most emotionally detached of the Dark Triad personalities, characterized by a profound lack of empathy, remorse, and emotional depth. Psychopaths don't experience emotions the way normal people do. They understand emotions intellectually and can mimic them convincingly, but they don't feel them genuinely. This emotional deficit creates individuals who can engage in harmful behavior without the psychological consequences that would deter most people. They don't lose sleep over hurting others because they don't experience guilt or remorse. They don't form genuine emotional bonds because they lack the capacity for deep emotional connection. The psychopath's advantages. While psychopathy is harmful to others, it provides certain advantages that help psychopaths succeed in competitive environments. Their lack of emotional interference allows them to make purely rational decisions without being swayed by guilt, fear, or empathy. They can remain calm under pressure because they don't experience anxiety the way normal people do. Their superficial charm is often incredibly effective because it's not burdened by genuine emotional complexity. They can be focused entirely on making a good impression without internal conflicts that might make others seem less confident or decisive. Psychopathic manipulation techniques. Psychopaths are skilled manipulators who use their emotional detachment as a weapon. They excel at emotional mimicry, studying others' emotional responses and reflecting them in ways that create false intimacy and trust. They can appear to be the perfect romantic partner, friend, or colleague because they're not distracted by their own genuine emotions. They use calculated vulnerability, sharing carefully chosen personal information to create a sense of special connection while never revealing anything that could be used against them. This false intimacy makes their victims feel chosen and special while providing the psychopath with emotional leverage. Predatory behavior is another hallmark. They identify and target individuals who have something they want, whether it's money, status, connections, or simply entertainment. They approach relationships like hunting expeditions with specific goals and strategies for achieving them. The psychopath's mask. Perhaps the most dangerous aspect of psychopathy is how well psychopaths can blend into normal society. They're often described as charming, confident, and booming. They learn to mimic normal social behaviors so effectively that they can maintain the facade for years or even decades. This mask of sanity allows them to move through society, causing tremendous harm and appearing completely normal to casual observers. They understand social rules intellectually and follow them when they serve their purposes, but they feel no genuine commitment to these rules. Recognizing psychopathic patterns. Identifying psychopaths requires looking for specific behavioral patterns rather than obvious warning signs. They often have shallow relationships, many acquaintances, but few deep, long-term connections. When relationships end, they show little genuine emotional impact and move on quickly to new targets. Watch for inconsistent life stories. Because they don't have genuine emotional memories attached to their experiences, their stories about their past may change or contain inconsistencies. They show inappropriate emotional responses, laughing at others' pain, showing excitement about others' misfortunes, or displaying calm when normal people would be upset. They often engage in risk-taking behavior without considering consequences, not because they're impulsive, but because they don't experience fear and anxiety the way normal people do. Now that you understand the 3 Dark Triad personalities, here's your immediate protection protocol. Action Step 1. The Personality Pattern Recognition Exercise. For the next week, observe the people in your life through the lens of these 3 personality types. Don't diagnose anyone, but notice which behaviors and patterns you recognize. Write down specific behaviors that match Dark Triad patterns, how these behaviors make you feel, and what the person seems to be trying to achieve through these behaviors. This exercise will help you develop the pattern recognition skills necessary to identify potentially dangerous personalities before they can cause significant harm. Action Step 2. The Emotional Response Audit. Pay attention to how you feel after interacting with different people. Dark Triad personalities often leave their victims feeling confused, drained, or emotionally manipulated. Create a simple emotional log. The person's name, how you felt before the interaction, during the interaction, and how you felt afterward. Patterns of negative emotional impact, especially confusion or feeling off after interactions, can be early warning signs of Dark Triad manipulation. Action Step 3. The Boundary Testing Protocol. Practice setting small boundaries with people and observing their responses. Healthy people respect boundaries even when they're disappointed. Dark Triad personalities often respond to boundaries with anger, guilt-tripping, or attempts to negotiate and override your limits. Try saying no to small requests without extensive justification, and watch how different people respond. This will help you identify who respects your autonomy and who sees your boundaries as obstacles to overcome. Practice the gray rock technique with anyone who displays Dark Triad behaviors. Become uninteresting and unresponsive as possible. Give minimal responses, share no personal information, and show no emotional reactions to their attempts at manipulation. Dark Triad personalities feed on emotional responses, so becoming boring often makes them lose interest and move on to easier targets. I want to hear from you about your experiences with these personality types, but please be very careful about what you share publicly. In the comments below, please tell me which of the 3 Dark Triad types you found most surprising, or which one you wish you had understood earlier. Don't share specific details about people in your life, or try to diagnose anyone. Just let us know which concepts helped you understand confusing experiences you've had. If this video helped you recognize patterns in your relationships that were previously confusing, consider sharing it with someone you trust. Understanding these personality types is crucial for protecting yourself and your loved ones from psychological manipulation and abuse. Next week, we're exploring something even more practical: the specific phrases and language patterns that Dark Triad personalities use to manipulate others and how to respond to each one. You'll learn to recognize these verbal triggers instantly and have ready responses that protect you from their influence. If you found this deep dive into the Dark Triad valuable, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We post new protection strategies every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and each video builds on the previous ones to create a complete psychological defense system. Give this video a thumbs up if it helped you understand personality types that are confusing or harmful in your life. Your engagement helps us reach more people who need this critical information about psychological protection. For those ready to go deeper into understanding and defending against Dark Triad personalities, check out our complete Dark Psychology Defense playlist. We cover everything from recognizing manipulation tactics to building unshakable boundaries. Each video provides specific, actionable strategies for protecting yourself in different environments. Understanding the Dark Triad isn't about becoming paranoid or suspicious of everyone. It's about developing the awareness to recognize genuinely dangerous personalities while maintaining healthy relationships with trustworthy people. The goal is discernment, not isolation. Stay protected, stay aware, and remember, knowledge is your best defense against those who would exploit your trust and kindness. I'll see you in the following video, exploring the specific language patterns these personalities use to control others.